Hey guys, welcome to Dissent Into The Wormhole. This is part 2 of our very special interview with the one and only Aaron Smith-Levin from Growing Up in Scientology. We're talking everything Scientology. If you have not seen part 1, highly recommended because part 2 may not make much sense, but here it is, part 2 and the remainder of our episode with Growing Up in Scientology and Aaron Smith-Levin. Hope you guys enjoy. And I believe, here's the thing, like, I'm so conflicted because I believe a lot of what Scientology does believe. I believe in, and this will get into my next question. So I believe past lives. I just had a past life regression this morning. Like just this morning I had it done. So I believe in all of that. And I do believe that we do carry things with us where I call, manipulation and abuse into that belief system is that I don't believe that. So if something happens to me, so if I'm experiencing something and if I believe that it is caused from a past life and I need to clear it out of my karmic bank, I'm not letting that person who did it, say they assaulted me and I'm an alleged Masterson way, they're not off the fucking hook.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like I am not going to take the blame. I will observe, quite possibly. Did I need to learn this? Or was it just, circumstances or whatever? But no way would I turn around and I would accept blame on myself or put blame on to someone else. I think they took something really, really nice and they turned it into something horrible, because Nexium does it as well. They say that abuse. So if Stevie's abusing me and I turn around and I say, Stevie, what you're doing to me is abusive, in Nexium, I'm now abusing Stevie. I'm
You're not
in the
allowing
wrong.
me to have that. You're not allowing me to express that,
Right.
feeling, emotion.
Right.
It's
Wow.
yeah. So it's like such a circular abuse, isn't it?
Yeah. And the
Right.
thing is that I feel that, like, when I think about myself, and I agree with you, Aaron, that I get really uncomfortable when people say, well, that would never happen. And, oh, they're such idiots. It's like, it's not about your intelligence level. It's where you are mentally. It's where you are in your heart. If you're lost and confused and someone's telling you they have all the answers and you have nowhere else to go, seemingly you don't feel like you have anywhere else to go, and this person's dangling like the sweet, sweet carrot in front of your face, you're going to fucking go.
Yeah, and if
Like,
you
I
knew no
know I would
different,
have. I
and if
know I'm a smart cookie.
right, and I think I've had a time in my life I would have done it as well. I
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
whatever it was, I would
Yeah.
have gone down the same sort of track, and it's and for those people who knew nothing else either, knew nothing different. If
Yeah.
you don't know,
Yeah.
if you can't see outside, you don't know.
Well, and when you have the people who, let's say, are doing the recruitment, but in Scientology, recruitment is the wrong word, who are very attractive and intelligent and outgoing people, and you walk into this organization and you're like, holy shit, all these people they're happy and they're
Yeah.
productive and they're positive and they're not criticizing and they're not judging. Hell, who cares about Xenu? I want to hang out with these people. Like,
Yeah.
there's a very
Totally.
strong social
Yeah.
element, particularly to the recruitment process, where even if you run into something, let's say something happens in an auditing session, you're like, wow, this is really messed up. The fact that you can look around and see people in your environment who seem smart and intelligent and whatever, and you go, but it seems these guys don't have a problem with it, so maybe it's just me. I'll do a little bit more.
Right.
That was on my
Yes.
list. Okay, so my question was, because like even Stevie and I have, and like our little YouTube group that we, family that we have, there's been times where we have started to kind of stream with someone or work with someone, and I didn't feel right about it, but seemingly it was like everyone else was okay with it, so I just thought, well, I'm just being a bitch. So that was my question. Like, are people actually having that realization, but then
Yes.
blaming themselves and saying, well, something's wrong with me. Like I need to
Yeah.
go for more auditing because clearly I'm the problem here.
Yes, especially since it is a basic part, a fundamental part of the Scientology philosophy, that the only reason this wouldn't work on you is because there's something wrong with you. So that's also why you want it to work. You want to like, oh my God, not only does it work on me, but it works on me faster than everyone else because I'm special.
Look at my big medal.
Yeah.
Look how big it is.
It
But
really
that's a
is
good
that
point.
social. Social seems like such a not even doing justice to whatever this force that's in play is. It's more than just a social force, but you know, socials, I guess the word I can use because I can't think of another one. It is that there must be something wrong with me because I'm the only one that seems to have a problem with this thing. So maybe it's not that bad, and you know.
But that thought process, and you know, let's call it an energetic feeling, like that. You know, social thing is sort of like an energetic thing. But imagine every single person in a room, like in that Scientology room, they're all sitting there thinking the exact same thing, but they're also thinking, I don't want to be the one who says something about it.
Yes.
So, and what would everyone say if I said something? And when everyone's all thinking that, then they all just do their best to be the best Scientologist they can be.
Yes.
100%.
Nailed it.
And when you get to the upper level, the upper confidential levels, like L. Ron Hubbard must have realized the best way to keep anybody from saying or doing anything is to create that paradigm where literally everyone is sitting there having the same doubt, but everyone's like, I must be the only one, so I'm not going to say anything. When you get to the upper OT levels, if you're like a husband and a wife and you're both doing OT3, for example, you are not allowed to talk to each other about even what you studied on OT3. A husband who is not allowed to talk to his wife about Xenu, even if they've both finished OT3, OT7 and 8. You are not allowed to talk with another Scientologist about the confidential levels ever for any reason at any time.
So what if you're in bed one night and you're getting ready to go to sleep and you're like, Xenu, really? Like, because it's a natural question, right? Like
that would happen.
Like really? Like,
if your spouse does not report you to the ethics officer, then you'll get away with that. If your spouse, which is much more likely, reports you to the ethics officer, you will be pulled in and given an interview on the e-meter. And when you eventually admit to what you did, because you're a believer, you're supposed to be, it wasn't just a big deal. You know, what's the big deal? You will be put through the ringer. You will be forced to do hundreds of hours of amends for having ever spoken about the confidential levels, even with your spouse. And that will be your lesson to never do that again. Right? And so that's how you get like the scenario you described where everyone's sitting there and everyone's having the same doubts, but everyone, one, thinks they're the only one having that doubt.
Yeah.
And two, would never want to be the first one to vocalize the doubt. That is reinforced at every level of the bridge all the way to the top.
Wow.
That's all it took. It's so simple.
Yeah.
Right.
So
because
simple.
when you do finally have people leave Scientology, even spouses, and they start telling, talking about what was going through their mind at that time, it was just that. Oh, I'd been having doubts for years, but I didn't want to tell him, and he would write me up and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's really hard for someone who's never experienced something like that to, one, understand how it could ever happen, or to think that it could ever happen to them. Like, I don't blame people for thinking it couldn't happen to them. To me, that would be the default. I sort of go, but if you've told the story properly, they should understand how it could have, and it should scare the shit out of them. And that is what will proof them up against it ever actually happening to them.
Right. Yeah. Because when you have this blind faith that, you can't snow the snowman, essentially. Well, the snowman comes along, and next thing you know, you've been snowed. Like, you got to be aware. You got to be aware.
Next thing you know, you're getting the snowman's giving you a medal on stage, and you're saluting him and everything
before you even snow it. Sorry, I had to.
Oh, that's true. That's true for you.
That is too. But it's so true. And I think, like, I was just thinking about it when you were saying that, Aaron. Like, for me, I think to try and think back to like a great, really, charismatic friend I had, for example, like just as an example, or it could be a family member, for people to visualize, to try and put themselves in the shoes of someone who does join up. you've got a super, engaging and charismatic friend or family member, someone who's really influential in your life, and they come to you and they say, I'm doing this great thing. It's done all these things for me, like X, Y, Z, A, B, C. I'm doing better in life and everything like that. Well, that's a pretty good sales pitch from someone you already trust as well. So you're going to be more likely to get drawn into that. So people saying that would never happen to me, think about it in that kind of scenario, even of somebody close to you being so enthusiastic about it. Maybe you'd even just give it a try. Who knows? And who knows?
Well, anyone who's got a family member who just won't stop trying to recruit everybody to join the latest multi-level marketing company has experienced that, because that is the same mechanism in play.
Yeah.
It's the same mechanism in play.
Yeah. I was just thinking MLM, like I get DMs all the time. Hey, hun. Like, oh, fuck off.
And when you get involved in those communities, they are incredibly culty. It's like, you're not saving the world, okay? You're selling protein shakes. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah. They're very culty, and they're very if they don't want to do it, like if you don't want to do it anymore, ooh, you're out. You're ostracized.
So, and that's not even over something important and spiritual. That's just business.
It's a protein shake.
Yeah.
But do you know how many people I have come across who are involved in MLM, and they look at Scientology and they go, oh my God, I can't believe that could ever happen to someone. And I'm like, look at what you're doing.
No, they can't see it.
Now, are you trying to tell me right now I shouldn't have held that Tupperware party last week? Should I have not done that? I feel like I'm in trouble now.
And it's not that all MLM is automatically a cult, but the overlap really is phenomenal. The recruitment process is almost identical.
Yeah, there's so many parallels. We're actually going to do, I asked Steve if we could do one on MLMs, because that's another one. I get DMs all the time. They're mostly directed at women, so I can't imagine that you guys get any, Tupperware or, passion party.
Well, I will after last week. But
like I do
not
a
usually,
lot.
no.
Yeah, I do a lot. And when I say no, they're pretty, let's just say I'm very grateful that I'm not friends with these people, because I would be so embarrassed if my friends were talking to people who just told them no in that manner. It's like, well, I don't want to be part of it. Like if this is a recreation of the culture, you can keep it. Like they're just not nice people once you tell them no, but they're also relentless. A lot of them are like, I actually had one person book an appointment with me, a coaching call, so she could pitch me.
Oh my gosh.
She's like,
it's just,
it's it's like when you get to that point, you're like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's all very overlapping. So Aaron, I do have a question that I would love to pick your brain about, and then we should probably wrap this up because this hour went past so fucking fast. So when it comes to the past life stuff, so you're cleaning out stuff that happened in your old life, right? Like, is that how they explain it to you? Like, all your past lives, like you did something wrong, so you need to experience in this life to kind of create the karma, or just real, or is it just
it's even more simpler than that.
Okay.
It's more like inside like that, we are not bodies, we are eternal spiritual beings, and not in some like abstract is a soul something you are, is it something you have, is it where, no, like in a literal sense that you are not looking through your eyeballs. You are a spiritual being, and you just happen to be right behind your eyeballs, and that's why it looks like you. Like in a very literal sense, you are a spiritual being who's lived almost basically forever.
Yeah.
And that the cycle of pain, that all present time pain, its power against you is tied to the earliest moment that something similar to that happened to you.
Which I agree with.
So Hubbard doesn't care whether that was one lifetime ago or a trillion lifetimes ago. The fact is, in an auditing session, if you're dealing with something and the e-meter hasn't given you the correct indication that this is resolved, the auditor says, recall an earlier similar time that you did X, or an earlier, whatever it is, earlier similar. Yeah. You have an upset, recall an earlier similar upset. Yeah. Okay, well, if you've already recalled the one when you were 2 and it didn't resolve, the auditor just going to go, well, recall an earlier similar one. He's not necessarily going to say it has to be in the last life, but eventually you understand that if you even understand the process of how L. Ron Hubbard says these chains work, there's literally nothing that could have happened to you in this lifetime that actually has any negative impact on you, because everything's already happened to you a trillion times. Nothing has happened to you in this lifetime for the first time.
Right.
So in an auditing session, you're just inevitably going back to billions, trillions of years ago until you go, oh, wow, I just realized that X, Y, and Z. And then the emitter gives you the correct indication on the needle, and the auditor says, okay, great, fine, we can end this session. So it's just that's how auditing sessions go. It's not even that there's some great philosophy or theory behind trying to atone for or learn lessons or anything. The traditional concept of reincarnation has a lot more meaning baked into it than anything that happens in an auditing session.
Okay. Because I'm taking the philosophy into it, like all this, all the stuff that I do believe in. I brought all that into it unnecessarily because my thought was quite possibly that, if for a lot of people, they're going for rainbow body. Rainbow body is you actually do hit immortality and you can actually start to remember all your lives without any consciousness breaks. So Stevie and I are working on ours where, next life is going to be the kicker.
We're starting afresh next life.
We fail miserably daily. But really, it's all about just being in the moment of love at all times. If you can be in the spirit and the feeling and the emotion and the everything and the embodiment of love at all times, then you can hit your rainbow body.
So I have to explain this one little facet because it's going anyway. I'll explain. You can take away from it whatever you want to take away from it. So Scientologists believe that the only reason you don't remember your past life is because the last time you dropped your body, which is what they call dying, you reported, as you were pre-programmed to do, reported to the Between Lives implant station that is either on Venus, Mars, or the moon, operated by the evil alien psychiatrists. And this Between Lives implant station is where they...
Sorry, she did the O again. She did the O again.
This Between Lives implant station is where you get your memory wiped. And then you get shot back down to pick up a new baby body. Now, you might go, well, how much auditing do you have to get to be spiritually aware enough to bypass the implant station and just go pick up a body?
Right.
L. Ron Hubbard never said. But
he's killing me.
One of the reasons Scientologists are so infatuated with getting as high up on the bridge as fast as possible is because they believe that with enough Scientology auditing, when you drop this body, you will skip the implant station, pick up a new body immediately, and you'll remember everything. So you don't have to redo all your Scientology courses. You remember them. You just took them yesterday.
Right.
And you will retain the gains that you got from all of your Scientology auditing. So you could say that in a certain sense, the purpose of Scientology is to just get spiritually capable and aware enough to bypass the implant stations. Yeah. But then you would have to go, but at what point do Scientologists believe that occurs? No one knows.
We just do. That's all. Just cause. We just do.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
Okay.
By the way, no one's ever come back.
Well, now just
no one's ever proven it. People come back all the time, and people say all the time, "Oh, in my last lifetime, I was this person and that person." Here's what I'll say:
can't prove.
No Scientologists, but remember, Scientologists keep everyone's auditing files, and they keep them forever. But nobody has ever successfully come back and said, "This is who I was, where I was, and everything. Just pull my auditing files, and all the evidence will be there."
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll prove it to you. Yeah.
It's never happened, even though Scientology has the ability to prove such a thing if it were possible.
Right. Now, so that billion-year contract, do you know what makes me really nervous about that? Because not only, is it ridiculous, but you have children signing them. And my problem with this is we actually don't know if we can literally sign over our soul. We don't know. We don't even know what the soul is. We don't know what consciousness is. We don't know that voice in our head. We don't know where the fuck it's coming from. Like, we just don't know anything. And we're I don't want to scare you, but we're signing it over to malicious people in the guise of goodness. And it just makes me nervous that because we don't know, fuck me, what if you did?
Mhm.
Right?
I mean, it's remember, Scientologists don't believe in anything more spiritual than the Thetan. Like, you're a Thetan, I'm a Thetan, Steve is a Thetan. There's no greater Thetan. There's no grand plan. There's no cosmic greater plan for the universe other than, hey, 76 trillion years ago, we were kind of bored and we created this universe. There's no deeper meaning to any of it in Scientology. And so when a Scientologist signs that Sea Org contract, it's not, it doesn't even mean anything. Even to like, honestly, there's no, like, there's so much more meaning in any other philosophy or religion or anything than there is in Scientology. It just comes down to, hey, we're spiritual beings. We have unlimited potential. And we got so bored being so powerful that we decided to handicap ourselves and then forget that we did that. Like, and in the process,
because I buy that.
Well, but I guess what I'm saying is, but that's it. There's nothing greater to it. There's no greater truth we're trying to learn in Scientology. There's no higher level of being other than just being able to go in and out of your body whenever you want.
Right. But when the Thetans created this world and created all of us Thetans, why did they create the evil soul station that everyone's got to try and go through to? Like,
oh no, that happened that happened much later on. That happened much later on. Yeah. Okay. Well, because psychiatry was created on the planet Farsec, and the evil psychiatrists on planet Farsec have been exporting that destructive technology all over the universe for trillennia now. And and they believe that Earth is where all the problem the beings who were like the renegades, the revolutionaries, the artists, you know, all the non-conformers. We were sent here to Earth.
The gays, don't forget them.
The gays who don't pay. Not the ones who pay, they're fine, but the ones who don't pay.
And so really Scientology, it's like the Matrix, right? You unplug from the Matrix.
Yeah.
Scientologists would say that is the end result of Scientology. That's what you're trying to achieve, to unplug from the Matrix, realize, oh wait, I'm not really this body. This existence isn't really real. I'm just in a prison here. And with enough Scientology auditing, I can realize that actually, wait, I forgot. I created this prison in the first place, didn't I? Oh, that was so stupid of me. That was so stupid. Okay, now I'm free. Now I'm free of it. And so so the past life stuff. Yeah. Well, that was a long answer to that question, I guess.
Well, okay. So L. Ron Hubbard, when he passed away, David Miscavige came out on stage, had the big speech about how he's discarded his body now. He's going to the next level of research, and he's discarded his body. Now, is that something that's offered to high level Scientologists? Right? You could go to the very ultimate level and discard your body and learn everything. And if there is such a thing, what does that cost?
No, that's not promised. Because they're saying only L. Ron Hubbard could have done that. Because because L. Ron, remember, in Scientology, the only thing that's been available so far is up until OT8.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But Scientologists believe that Hubbard finished researching and developing and writing up to OT15 before he left his body. So you could never get up to that level without doing OT15, and you can't do it until David Miscavige releases it. But he won't release it. But he won't release it. Well, they don't exist. There's nothing to release.
Yeah, I was like,
right. There's nothing to release, and that's what makes Scientology a little bit more of an insidious fraud than even Keith Raniere and NXIVM, because at least my understanding, I could be wrong about this, at least they were still on the search, on the path. Miscavige is like, no, you don't got to search for shit. It's done. It's in the vault. Just give me more money, and eventually I'll give it to you. Well, he knows
the vault opens with dollars.
Man.
So I got off on all that because I wanted to tell you Scientology's reason for not being able to access all the past lives. Again, it's something, it doesn't come down to the same meaning and significance that other belief systems have. It's like, no, bro, there's a dude, he's running a memory wipe station on the far side of the moon.
Yeah.
And if you get enough auditing, you'll be able to skip that. Well, how much auditing should I get? Well, I don't know.
All of
Just
it.
keep getting more.
Yeah. You'll know when you find out. You'll know when you've done it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You'll know when you die.
Because you'll just zip right past that stop and station. Well, because I was thinking, like, when it comes to, because for me, I want to do good in this life, because when I come back, I don't want to have to clear up a lot of the things that I had to clear up in this life. Like, I'm trying to avoid doing this all over again, essentially. So I was thinking, like, I'm thinking of Miscavige, like, on, like, just as a one person. So I'm thinking about Miscavige, and I'm thinking, okay, like, they're worried about past lives. They're blaming all these other people for things that are happening to them because of their past lives. So I just thought, like, shouldn't he behave a little better in this life if he doesn't want to be, if he did, because if he truly believes that, well, then you would want to behave a little bit better in this life. Now, my version of better and his version of better, obviously not the same thing. But I just think, like, when you believe in something like that, you might want to, when you're talking about past lives and coming back to Earth, you might not want to be a cock.
True. Very, very true. Now, Scientology also has created its own system and definition of ethics, and created its own framework of what is right, what is wrong, what is ethical, and it has nothing to do with how well you treat people. So the fact that Miscavige either believes or gets other people to believe that he is helping expand Scientology around the world and saving mankind or whatever would outweigh anything he could ever say or do to somebody that would be considered evil or wicked. And so I guess what I'm saying is, even in his own way, he would argue that he is doing everything on the up and up, and that if that's how much force and temper and anger it takes to get people to get the job done and get the show on the road, then so be it. That's the right way to behave. You know what I mean?
Right. He's willing to kill people to help them. Like, he's going to kill people to save them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
How'd you do it? Xenu told me to.
I mean, L. Ron Hubbard literally said in the most important policy letter in Scientology, we would rather have you dead than incapable. I mean, it's the most important policy letter in all of Scientology. That's yeah. I mean, or at least he said that is the attitude that a Scientologist should have, particularly when training auditors. We would rather have you dead than incapable. And that is how Scientologists behave.
Well, you know what? It's been just over an hour talking about this. I feel like we could talk about it forever, but I'm listening to the things that you've been saying. Like, some of it we've had a bit of a laugh at, like the intergalactic psychologists that are like evil in their chairs and stuff. But some other, a lot of this is really serious, and it does have serious impacts for people's lives.
Yeah.
And just hearing what you've been saying, mate, I'm so glad that you were able to get out, for your kids, for your wife, your family and stuff like that. Yeah. Really good that you were able to get out, see what was going on. And, it seems not wanting to pry, but like, you're living a really good life now. So congratulations.
Yeah, you seem happy.
Good on you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done. So before we leave, I would just like you to, speak about the Aftermath Foundation. What are you doing? How can they get a hold of you? We'll put all the links and stuff in all the descriptions and stuff. So.
Yeah. So we have the Aftermath Foundation that we created about 5 years ago to help people who are escaping from Scientology. We help people who are basically losing all of the support network they've had their entire lives, and are in many cases starting from scratch. Before we created the foundation, helping people who were leaving would always fall onto, well, first of all, in order to even ask for the help, you have to pretty much put all of your information online and, tell your whole sob story to the internet, and basically, essentially beg for money in a GoFundMe or something like that.
Yeah.
And after the Aftermath television show, there was just so many people asking, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? And so we created the foundation as like a vehicle, an entity that people can, if they want, because we help people in many more ways other than financially, but oftentimes this type of help that can be provided that's non-financial can really only be provided by a former Scientologist. Even just having someone to talk to about your experience.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Scientology got such a crazy language. It's impossible to actually talk about your story and have anyone understand it other than a former Scientologist, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
So Anyhow, every single week we are helping people escape who are escaping the Sea Organization, who are escaping from staff, or who are just public Scientologists who are leaving but losing everything and really either need someone to talk to or need a hand. So people can find out more about it at the aftermathfoundation.org. I talk a lot about it on my channel as well. And so Mike Rinder, who people would know from the Aftermath show, he's on the board of the Aftermath Foundation. Depending on how far down the rabbit hole you guys have gone, you might be familiar with Mark Headley and Claire Headley, and Luis Garcia and Christy Colburn, who's Mike's wife. And we have the fantastic attorney Ray Jeffrey, who's one of the few who have successfully litigated against Scientology. So we have a fantastic board that cannot be intimidated or silenced or scared of Scientology. And that was also one of the things that really needed to be put in place. So the aftermathfoundation.org is the website, and you can find it on Facebook as well.
Good. And do you have a little bobblehead you want to promote?
Oh, these little fellas.
Yes. The Mike Rinders. I love it.
It occurred to me the other day, I've never actually shown the head bobble. There we go.
Oh.
And guys, these are quality. These are these are like hard clay. These are hand painted clay bobbleheads. This is not plastic. Anyway, people can get these on the spshop.com. People can donate to the foundation, but we had these made up because it's just sometimes fun to have a little bit of fun.
Absolutely.
It is. Little Mike's cool. We like little Mike.
I love him. He looks so handsome. Bobbing around. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for, sharing your story and your experience and your time and all of that. It's
my pleasure. It's been fun talking to you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, anytime. I feel like we could do this again, but
yeah,
we could. Let me know.
maybe to close it. Like when we cover all the cults, we could loop back around and say, well, can you believe all these other ones that are, stealing from Scientology?
I'll finish watching the next BM program, and then what was the
One
other
Taste.
One Taste.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
It's a weird name for an orgasmic cult.
Yes. Well, they do give meaning to it. It's a convenient name, one might say. A convenient name. But anyways, check out Aaron's channel as well, Growing Up in Scientology. And while we're still laughing, we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.